All right, good morning, Wasteland. Mr. G live from my garage, giving you the latest updates in Crossout. And today, the devs have said, look, listen to your feedback. We are going to update some changes to the game. Mass test server is open. So they've went ahead and they've tweaked just about everything in the game. I'm going to walk you through all of those changes. Simply, is it a buff? Is it a nerf? Let's take a look at what they did. I only tested one of these changes because only one of them was really interesting. And sadly, I didn't see anything else about the wedge mechanics. But there are a lot of changes to your favorite weapons coming down the pipe, which is going to affect their values on the marketplace. So you're going to want to be investing or selling depending on a lot of this information. Number one, they still went ahead and decided the cord needed a nerf. Why? No idea. Next up, rare parts. They would like to note that they changed the special rarity. So because they added the special rarity, the PS of all rare weapons is reduced by 13%. Wasp is getting a nerf of 7% to damage. Judge 76mm cannon is getting a buff of damage of 5%. It's already an amazing weapon, but hey, it's getting a buff. Little Boy is getting a slight nerf in that its reload is going from 3.5 to 4 seconds. On to auto cannons, the AC-43 Rapier is going to get an explosion damage reduction of 5% instead of 10%. I said, hey, why are you nerfing autocannons? Well, they still decided to nerf autocannons, just less. The durability reduction is going to be reduced to 113 instead of 109. The P23 Defender is going to get a damage reduction of 10%. Durability reduced from 153 to 140. The Vector is getting a damage reduction of 7%. I think you're seeing these rarity nerfs to rare weapons to kind of make them fall in line with the specials being the next step up. The Sledgehammer Shotgun damage reduction of 5%. Moving on, the Prosecutor 76mm. Its gunshot damage is going to be increased by 15%. Cannon perk improved. So basically, this line of fixed cannons is getting armor penetration across the board, all the way up through tsunamis. So now the shell explodes after going through 102 or 100 centimeters of armor. The Hulk is going to get an explosion damage reduction of 7%. So a little bit of a nerf to the Hulk there. The AC-50 Storm, it's going to have explosion damage reduced 5% instead of 10%. Durability reduced from 190 to 168 instead of 161. So they listened somewhat to me saying, hey, why are you nerfing these weapons? Dialed back the autocannon nerfs a bit. The Sinus is getting a damage reduction of 5% and durability going from 97 to 90. The Emily now reloads faster, so its cooldown is going from 5 to 4.5 seconds. Goblin's going to get a damage reduction of 5% instead of what was originally planned as 7%. The Junk Bow Shotgun is going to get a buff of 5%. Hey, they were already great. They're getting some more love, and they're getting a durability buff of 235 up to 247. The Mace Shotgun, which was already amazing, is getting a damage reduced by 6%. That's probably fine. The M37 Piercer is going to get durability increase from 114 to 127, which is good because they're like wet toilet paper. They come right off. The Synthesis getting a damage buff 5%. Your Explosive Boomsticks, damage reduction 7%. On to epic rarity stuff. All of these weapons are going to get a power score reduction of 7%. The Cricket Rocket Launcher, oh my god, is getting hit with a heavy nerf, reducing the rate of fire by 22%. And the Missile Blast Radius reduced by 10%. Crickets were one of the best weapons in the game. They got hit hard with the nerf bat. If you own Crickets, sell those now. The Locust is going to get a damage explosion reduction of 7%. The Executioner 88 is going to get an ammo buff from 8 to 10 as a default. And they're going to improve the perk. Now the weapons are going to go through 132 units, or, I don't know why there's an or, 200 centimeters of armor. So they are, if anything, they buff this weapon by increasing the armor penetration. The Elephant's going to get a damage reduction of 5% and a tiny nerf to durability from 891 to 847. The AC-72 Whirlwind is going to get a damage reduction of 5% and durability going from 420 down to 390. The Adapter is going to get a 5% damage bonus. The Incinerator is going to get a buff of 33% to the heating that happens from the fire in pools, which is a decent fat buff for that weapon. Next up, the Grenade Launcher. The AGS-55 used to be GL-55. Rate of fire reduction of 10%, but they're going to increase ammo from 120 to 150. The Jewel is going to get, once again, all the autocannons are getting that 5% damage reduction. And it's also going to get a nerf to durability from 240 to 216. The Spectre 2 is just going to get a durability increase, 162 to 186. So it looks like they're buffing durability of machine guns across the board, nerfing durability to autocannons across the board, and a 5% nerf to all autocannon damage across the board. The Trigger is going to get part heating speed increased by 25%. Big fat buff to the Trigger. The Shotgun Thunderbolt is going to get a damage increase by 5% and a durability buff from 157 to 173. The Fafnir Shotgun, I'm going fast because there's a lot of these. They're going to improve the perk. It's now going to be 30% bonus at 60 kilometers per hour and a durability bump from 300 to 315. The Pyre Missile is going to get a buff of 5% to damage, missile speed 15%, and missile turning radius reduced 10%. The Flute, damage reduction of 11%, but the damage perk increases 13%. So they've increased the perk. Hit impulse reduced by 10%. The King Mine Layer is going to get explosion radius reduction of 10%, damage reduction of 5%, and a mine durability reduction of 15%. The Mauler, the Chainsaw Mauler, used to be called the Lacerator, Buzzsaw, whatever. No, it's not the Buzzsaw. That's a rare. Damage increase 40%. Massive buff to this thing. Increasing the hitbox of it, buffing the durability from 303 to 364. Weight is going up from 75 to 94. Now the perk increases the damage of all installed chainsaws by 15%. It used to be 10. Energy consumption going from 2 up to 3. So just a big fat increase in damage to the Mauler. Oh my god, a Mauler is different from the Lacerator, right? The Lacerator is like the double chainsaw thing that's shaped like a tank track. My bad, I was talking about the one that looked like a chainsaw. The Lacerator, huge increase of damage, 40% increase to damage. Durability going from 334 to 401, a little bit of a weight increase, and they're bumping the perk to improving damage 15% for all Lacerators that you have. Energy also bumped up from 2 to 3. The Arathron Shotgun, they're increasing the impulse by 60%, which is huge. They're also increasing the pellet damage distance by 50%, also huge. The maximum pellet damage distance increased 20%. So a total rework of the Arathron right there, doing significantly more damage and a big buff. That's awesome. Autocannon Whirl, damage increased by 10%. Durability increased from 415 to 457. The Lancelots are getting a damage reduction, 7%. And expanded ammo packs are getting a durability reduction of 344 to 264. Bummer. It receives more damage from explosions. So those big purple ammo boxes are more likely to pop. Colossus is getting a tiny little durability reduction from 383 down to 333. The Cheetah is getting a pretty big nerf. It used to give a 20% cooldown reduction in all of your modules. Now it only does 15%. Okay, the Goliath Track getting a power score bump. Thank you. From 700 to 850. Needed to happen. The ML200 getting a power score increase from 225 to 325. Needed to happen. The Big Room getting a mass reduction from 800 down to 700. Tonnage is going up from plus 1900 to plus 2000, so it's a little better. They're also improving leg speed from 35 to 45 kilometers per hour. It's also getting a power score bump of 225 up to 275. Next up, legendary rarity weapons. The Tsunami is going to get that armor penetration that you're seeing throughout that whole line of cannons. So it's going to pierce 123 or 100 centimeters of armor. The Cyclone is going to get a damage reduction, like all autocannons, 5% to that explosion damage. But it's also going to get a durability nerf from 523 to 486. The Reaper's getting some love. The Reaper is going to get ammunition increase from 260 to 325, and they're going to reduce the spread by 10%, which will be helpful for that. Good move. The Draco Flamethrower is going to get damage increased by 5%, flame speed increased by 20, and ammunition increase from 120 to 175. So big buff to the Draco, which was already a great weapon. Next up, the Assembler. Damage reduction, 5%. Projectile velocity reduced 15%. Oh, it breaks my heart. That was my favorite thing about that weapon. Projectile speed bonus upgrades reduced from 25 to 15%. If you're running that module for energy weapons, it's not going to work quite as much. And the Aspect Machine Gun getting damage increased by 7% and a durability bump from 200 to 220. So once again, machine guns getting a durability bump across the board. The Imp, same thing. Damage buffed 5%. Pulsar, damage reduction 5%. Explosion reduction 7%. Durability reduced from 770 to 693. On to the Hurricane. Okay, damage from missiles increased 5%. Speed increased 15%. Turning radius reduced 6%. So decent buff for the Hurricane. And the Spark, this is a biggie. Now the Spark's effect stacks up to 8 times. Used to be 12. Maximum deceleration is capped at 50%. The perk no longer increases the reloading time of weapon. That is a biggie. So it's going to slow you down, not going to slow down your reload. And the weapon heating speed reduced by 33%. Big fat nerf to the Spark. The Toadfish getting an impulse reduction, 10%. Annihilator getting hit with a durability reduction of 10%. A lot of changes in there. Like and subscribe to the channel. I will always keep you up to date on what's going on and let you know before anybody else, at least as much as possible. I'm looking at you, Cold Fire and Tree Burgers and Black Hat beating me to the punch sometimes. I'm going to catch you guys later. Be good. Stay safe out there on the wasteland. Mr. G out.